Hey, welcome to a live version of the Relevant Development Podcast. I am your host, Juan Alvarado. Um, so I'm going live for a couple reasons. One, I want to remake a podcast that I have already done prior. And the podcast that I did prior was the 7 deadly sins of an organization. And um, I did this same topic at a conference called Boost Collaborative. And for those people who don't know what the Boost Collaborative is, it is an organization that helps those who work with youth before, during, and after school programming to help elevate their abilities, their trainings, what they offer kids, new rules and regulations, how to spend money, just a whole bunch of support, a whole lot of support. And so, um, the Boost Collaborative puts on a conference called Boost, and so I think I've gone out of the last 5 years. I've gone 4 times. I've spoken 2 different times, and hopefully they have me back. But this last year, I spoke and did a workshop on connection before correction. How do we connect with not only our students but our staff before we can correct them? I did a pop-up dinner, and then I brought the Relevant Development Podcast to Palm Springs and had a great just had a really good outcome. I think there was like 3 or 4 rows of people standing in the back, people sitting on the floor in the front row and all around the sides and in the back. It was beautiful. So thank you to all that showed up. That live recording, I lost the video. The video side of that got corrupted, and so I have the audio. So the audio is going to get released tomorrow, and that will go out. But I wanted to re-record it because I wanted a video side of it so I could have not only on LinkedIn but on YouTube as well. And so here are the 7 deadly sins of an organization, and they're not in any particular order, but they are near and dear to me because I've been a part of organizations who have done these things. I have done these things. Also, I also have and been consulting organizations who have done these things, and so I really want to put this information out so you don't make these mistakes moving forward. So let me just put my phone on silent. Here we go. Cool. So the first deadly sin is leading the same way you have always led. We cannot continue to move forward in our organization, in our leadership, not only for ourselves, but for our families, for our relationships, for our work relationships. We cannot lead the same way as we did this year and years past. I give an example of an organization that I used to be a part of, and they were growing, and it was a school. It was an after-school program, and they had just a couple grades. I think they started off with kinder, first, second, and third grade, and then every year after that, we were going to open it up to fifth grade, and then sixth grade, and then seventh and eighth grade. And we had a lot of slack from parents because how come you're not having a program for everybody? And we just wanted to make sure that we were running it and executing at a high level. And it was going really well. And then we got to a point where it started to go to shambles a little bit. Miscommunication, staff not doing what they're supposed to be doing, kids getting out of control. And so it's just funny because I think we see this in families when with those of us that have kids. I have 3 boys, and one child by themselves is fine. We can be chilling in the living room. Everything's good. We can bring somebody else on. Good. We bring that third child into the room. Then we start to have arguing about what we're watching on TV and who's hogging the couch and the pillow. And it's the same thing. You can travel with a child or, somebody. As soon as you put 2 people in the car, there starts to be like, he's looking at me and don't touch me. Like there's a magic number where the issues start to rise up. And it's the same thing for our organization, that there's so many job duties and there's only so many people, and then people quit and people move on or people get promoted, and there's this magic number, and every organization is different, where things start to change and shift a little bit. So that lead at that school was like, Juan, things aren't going like things are changing. I don't get it. And I said, so what's changing? Like nothing. We literally just added two staff and then we opened up the other grade. Like I don't get what's going on. We've done the same thing. And that's the key. You can't lead a family of 3 the same way you lead a family of 4. You can't lead an office of 5 people like you did an office of 3. You can't run an organization the same way that you run. Like when we scale an organization and that organization gets bigger, you need more HR personnel. You need more maybe assistants. You need an assistant to the director or the president or whatever it is. More people have to be involved. And if one person is making the decision for these 2, and now those 2 people are now 4 people, and then 6, 10, 12 people, now that head person has an assistant or somebody different. And then once that organization starts to grow, you're going to need more staff, which means that one person that was in charge when it was only 2 or 3 cannot make every single decision. Somehow that person has to take their vision and make it so impeccable when it comes to communicating and showing that vision that it's the same thing all the way down. And so it is great to be able to communicate that. And so you cannot lead the same way that you do for the smaller amount of people. You can't lead the same way this year as you did last year. COVID is a huge example. You cannot lead the way that you led your organization prior to COVID. It's got to be a little bit different. People might have to work from home. There might be some different things that have to happen. So you cannot lead the same way that you led last year. I think it's John Maxwell that says you have to unlearn, learn, and relearn a position or your position all over again, which makes sense. In 3 to 5 years, you are either going to promote to a different position, move to a different job, or the people above you or below you are going to be different. Either they're going to move up or move out or promote. People below you are going to change and switch jobs and shift positions. Maybe somebody below you becomes your boss. Like things are going to change. So you can't lead yourself the same way that you did this last year. And so I think it's crucial for us going into 2024 to understand I have to be different this next year. What are the things that I didn't get to do that I wanted to do? There's got to be a shift, right? And so that's deadly sin number 1. Deadly sin number 2 is not wanting to learn from people that are older than you and that are younger than you. I see this a lot with there's a lot of trainings out there. How to manage and deal with Gen Z. Deal with? We're dealing with you now. Like something that we have to do. I just think it's frustrating that let's start just treating people like people. But not only that, I've heard this a lot growing up. Baby, I've been doing this longer than you have. I was doing this when you were in diapers. Okay. But if you stay the same, then we would still be, and this is going to be my next point for the third deadly sin, but we would still be driving horse and buggy, right? You would have the dial-up rotary phone and you wouldn't have a cell phone, right? You wouldn't go from headphones to earbuds and Bluetooth and stuff like that. Like you have to learn the new language. You have to learn from those Gen Z, millennial, whatever people, because they know not necessarily more. It's possible that they know more than you, but they know different. So learn from those people below you. Learn from those people that are younger than you. Here's the flip side of that coin. Young people, learn from those people who are older than you. They've been there before. And so when we have this group of older people and younger people, they can learn from each other. KRS-One, who is an old school rapper, I heard him say, if the older generation listen to the younger generation, they can become older. Excuse me. They can become better and faster around those older people that they are around. If the younger people learn from those people that are older than them, they would become wiser than the young people around them. Like, it's a win-win situation. So, deadly sin number 2, not wanting to learn from people above you and below you. There is a boss somewhere that does not want to hear the input of the staff or somebody that's been there forever. I've heard this a lot going into organizations. There's that guy that's been there forever, and I don't want to do the stuff on the iPad, and I don't want to do the paperwork. Like, this is my paperwork. I don't want to have to save a document on the computer. Like, I have a system. I have this paperwork system, and it works for me, but it doesn't work for the organization. And you have to be able to make changes, learn, which brings me to deadly sin number 3, saying that's how we've always done it. This is my favorite one to hate, if that makes sense. I hate hearing, well, that's the way we've always done it. Have you ever heard somebody in your organization say, I don't know why we do it that way, but that's just the way we've always done it? And so you keep on doing the same thing. Again, if that's the way we've always done it, we'd be driving Model T cars. We wouldn't have electric vehicles. We wouldn't have faster Wi-Fi. We wouldn't have streaming services that you're seeing this stuff on. We wouldn't have a podcast. Like, imagine if we stayed the same. You have to push the status quo. We cannot be afraid as leaders, as staff, to push the envelope a little bit when it comes to, is there a faster or better way? That's the way we've always done it. Should no longer be in an organization's vocabulary. Sorry, it just shouldn't be that way. I think it stops creativity. I think it cuts the legs out from people underneath them, and it takes the love or the desire to do better. If we were to ask somebody, right, if somebody was to say, "Wow, there's got to be a better way," my answer would be like, "There might be on your free time." Or on the time that it takes you to do your workload. If you find gaps of time where you're free, figure out a better way. Present it to me. Let's see if we can get it to work, and let's go. Like, this is how we empower people. A little bit of a tangent. When you empower somebody, it's giving them the ability to have power. I give this example of my old boss on my work. What's the word? What's the word I'm looking for? My job description, head of training was on there. I was in charge of leading training. Long story short, I would get training together. It'd take me a while to get it together, speakers, a location, a time, everything. And then he would look at it and say, no, let's change this, change this, change that. And it bothered me. That's not empowering. If I have to ask my boss how to do it, what to do it, where to do it, when to do it, and I have to ask questions, I am just executing his power and his ideas, or her powers and her ideas. That's not empower, that's delegating. Hey, figure out all the stuff that I don't have time for, and then I'm gonna get all the good ideas and keep them, and all the bad ideas and get rid of them, and then I'm gonna tell you to add X, Y, and Z so it becomes their idea. That's not empowerment, right? If I was to hire you to take care of my backyard, and I said, I want it to be serene, I want it to be beautiful, calm, and I really like greenery, and I like white and clean edges, no curves, clean edges. Do your work. Then now I am empowering that person to do the work that they've been designed to do, right? They've gone to school to work on design. And so now they're designing, I'm empowering them. But if I was to tell them, I want these plants, I want it here, 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 and here, this is what I want this to look like, I want this type of wood, and I want this, then they're just executing my vision. And so when we say that's how we've always done it, and I know that there's people that are watching either on LinkedIn or on YouTube. If you're watching this, have you ever heard, and please comment, have you ever heard the statement, that's how we've always done it? And how much does that bother you? And so if we have somebody that says, "Dude, there's gotta be a better way," give them the empower them to figure out the faster way, the better way, so that it can be better for all of us, right? Um, let's see. The next deadly sin, not having a regular evaluation process, and that also means evaluations for the organizations. Here's the part that bugs me when I go into organizations or I hear of these horror stories at where either people that I know work for these organizations or these organizations call me in when they say, "Oh, we have a lot of new staff." Well, why do you have a lot of new staff? Oh, well, HR or this department, the business department, or these people hired. Yeah, super, super annoying. Thank you. Hey, let's try this. This is a new thing I can do. Let's see. Yeah, super annoying. Super annoying. Uh, but if we were to give again, empower people to do things better and faster, we can make things become better. Anyways, going back on to not having a regular evaluation. I go into organizations and say, how come you have so much turnover? If an organization keeps on hiring for the same position or for the same department, you might ask yourself, why do we keep hiring for this position for this department? What is happening in this department? And I don't think enough leadership takes control that says, what's the real problem? Let me talk to the staff. Let me talk to my leadership, and then let me talk to the staff to figure out, is there an issue? And I bet if you were to survey your staff or talk or have that clear communication with your staff, they will say, "Hey, there's people here that have favorites, or they're only hiring their friends, or we always hire somebody else from outside, but I've been here for so long, and I've been moving my way up. I have really good evaluations, or whatever." But the organization needs to have an evaluation. You need to have an evaluation for your staff for them to say, I feel comfortable. I know my job description. I do my job. I do what I love to do every single day. I have the equipment that I need, but that's not all the case. And I think that if we were to survey, I think you'd find a lot of people that say, I don't have all the equipment that I need to do my job. I don't think that certain things in this department is fair. We need to add X, Y, and Z to this organization. And I believe that some of the best ideas are from the people that are actually in the trenches working. I just saw a video the other day of a girl who got all the workers, little Latina girl, short as heck. Everyone else in the room is taller than she is. It was for Amazon, and she was like, "We're not going to go out onto the floor. You make fun of us. You drive us too hard. You tell us to do that. Tell us that we're not going to get our breaks. We're not going to do this, and we're not going to go on the floor. We're not going to work. We found out that we have so much money that got sent to us, and this is how we want to spend the revenue, the money that we got in. We want more pay. We want childcare for those of us that have children that can't afford a babysitter. We want like on-site stuff, and so that's some pretty good ideas." And the boss there, arms crossed, like the visual attitude was like, "I'm not listening." He kept on wanting to interrupt. And I say that to say that if we were just to have an open door policy of communication where we're able to, one, survey the staff, but two, make it truly anonymous where you're not trying to figure out who said what, people will feel better to communicate, especially when you take their ideas into considerations and or execute on their ideas. That communication and the morale will become better because you listen to the people who are doing the work for you. Um, so not having a regular evaluation is deadly sin number 4, but that's for the organization. Let me go to the staff and the leadership. Think back when you were in school. You had pretty much 4 report cards, but it went something like this. You got a progress report, then you got a report card, then you got a progress report, and then you got your final report card. But too many organizations have an end of the year evaluation. And at the end of the year evaluation, you let the staff know, hey, this is what you did really well. And then this is the stuff that you need help on. Wouldn't that information be totally helpful if you would have given that information to me of the stuff that I do really well? I could have done an even better job in that if you would have just let me know. The stuff that you don't want me doing anymore, you need fixing, I could have fixed that 6 months ago. And I had to wait a whole year for you to tell me that I could have made a difference or a change. I could have gone to a conference. I could have got one-on-one training. I could have gotten a mentor, but that doesn't happen because we don't do the right evaluations. One, we don't have as many evaluations as we should have. And three, I think that when we hire somebody, here's a big issue when it comes to hiring. I think this is going to be a bonus, a bonus evaluation. Excuse me, a bonus sin is we want to hire somebody that's turnkey. Very seldom do people buy houses turnkey and they don't do nothing with it. They don't paint. They don't like, no one comes in, furniture done, paint's ready the way you want it. Something always changes from planting a plant to the front yard or in the backyard or adding some type of decor to the house. Someone always does something. Nothing's going to be turnkey. And too many times we try to hire turnkey staff. This person has never worked for you before. So how are they going to be a turnkey staff? Even if we were to get a teacher from one school and take them to another school, that environment, that culture is different, and you're going to have to teach them something. You can't just say, "Hey, swim," and push them in. As much as we would like for somebody to learn on their own, but too many times we want people to be turnkey staff. They're not turnkey staff. You want to get the best person available so that you don't have to spend time training them because that costs too much or it takes too much of your time. We just need somebody to come in and do data entry. We just need somebody to come in that can teach. We just need somebody that can come and work with kids. But they don't know your kids. They don't know the environment. So you're not going to have a turnkey. You have to take time to train the staff the way that it should be, or else the culture and your bad staff are going to train that person by default. And now you're going to have a bad staff for a couple reasons. For you guys that are hopped on a little bit later, that all happens because of all the deadly sins that I've already talked about. You've led the same way that you've always led before. You're not changing anything. You're not wanting to learn from people above or below you. And you're saying that that's how we've always done it. And when you do that, and you don't want to listen to your people because you're not giving out evaluations, well, now we have a hiring issue. So they all kind of stack on each other. Deadly sin number 5, not having a growth plan. So we're getting into 2024. Let me ask you, do you have a plan? And not even organizational. Let's just talk for you as a person. Are you or do you have a plan for 2024? Like I told my son just a little while ago, I was going by the pool. I felt the pool. It's freaking cold as hell. And cold as hell, is that even a thing? No, just cold because hell would be hot. Cold. It's freezing. And it's probably like 50 degrees. I said, I want to start doing a cold plunge every single day. I want to see what the hype is all about. I see people doing it. You hear about all these things doing it. Let me know in the comments if you've ever done a cold plunge or that's something that you want to add to your list of 2024. Yeah. Um, I don't know that I ever want to do it, but it's just an idea that came up. Like, I want to see what the hype is all about, but I don't have a plan. A plan is not do it. That's not a plan, right? I think I'm gonna go out. I want to get something to eat. That's not a plan. Ooh, I'm gonna need these ingredients. I'm gonna make this really cool. Like everything needs a plan. And so when we talk about growth, personal growth, what's your plan? So I have a couple things that I'm actually gonna plan for with my family. Um, I kind of want to know what they want to do coming in 2024, both personally and for the family. And then how do we help each other? So my things, cold plunge is one. I want to travel a little bit more. Two, I want to read more. There's some books that I've purchased that I want to read. If I'm being transparent and honest, I want to read my Bible a little bit more. I'm a person of faith, and to be transparent and honest, I don't read as much as I should the Bible, and so I want to read the Bible every single day, on top of everything else that other things that I want to read. Um, and so those are 3 things that have come up to mind. But I need a plan. Let's talk about organization. Where are we going this year? Where do we fall short? How do we get there? Who do we need to get us there? Okay, these 10, 15 people are going to get us there. What is the plan for each and every single person? And I think this is the issue when it comes to growth in an organization for staff is this is our organization. This is where we want to go. And this is you. And this is how you've gotten us from here to here. And now I want you to move this year. I want you to move from here to here. And this is what I need from you. I need you to improve these 4 things. And this comes through evaluations, but there's got to be a plan. So when I go into organizations, I have this graph and this graphic, and it's a seed, and then a seed that's broken a little bit with the root, and then one that's sprouted a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, and then more that's giving off like its fruit or whatever it's blossoming. And then underneath that graphic, there are lines: one, two, three, four, one, two, three, four, one, two, three, four, and on those above it or in the plant, there are little lines that you can fill out. So you have lines below the seed, and then 4 or 5 lines. The seed with the little root, 4 lines, and then above it, 3 or 4 lines. And then the one with like 3 or 4 leaves, and then lines on those 3 or 4 leaves, lines at the bottom, and so forth and so on. Those lines on the bottom are for you to put your staff's names on where they are in the growth process. The lines above are the things that they should know and that you want them to know. How to open up a store, how to close a store, how to build relationships with the staff, how to talk to students, how to talk to parents, how to reconcile the files, whatever the job duties are, put those there. And your job as a leader is, how do I move Sarah from this part over here? Well, guess what? She has to know these things and these things. And this year, she's going to learn these 4 or 5 things underneath this on this graph. And next year or next semester or next evaluation, we're going to grade her on those, see if she's moved on. And now there's a plan. Organizations do not have a working plan that both the boss knows and the employee knows, that are communicated on the same page, on the same book, to move forward. This is a deadly sin of any organization, because they don't know how to, or they don't intentionally create a plan for each individual staff. If you're a staff, you need to come up with this individual plan when you meet with your boss. If they're not going to do it for you, dude, take stuff into your own hands and do it. I talk about an I Love Me book. I don't know if it's here. One of the podcasts I have, it's called I forget what episode it is, but I talk about an I Love Me book, and it's everything that you've done. So when it comes time, how do you know when you deserve a raise? It's on my YouTube channel. How do you know when you deserve the raise? And I think the thumbnail is me going like this, like, show me the money. And it talks about, how do I get a raise? Well, you make this I Love Me book, and it's everything that you've ever done before there at work to show, hey, in the last year, I've done this, so many things. I've done this. Like mine was like, I've trained 1,500 people in the last, 35 people a month for so many years. And this is what I've done. I've gone and helped this organization move, blah, blah, blah. And so now when you say, why do you deserve a raise? I got that bad boy right here. Here you go. Like I have everything right here in this book, right? So everyone should have an I Love Me book. You might need to be in charge of your own growth plan. So that's number 5. Number 6, only leading from your point of view. Sometimes giraffes have shouldn't say sometimes, all the time, giraffes have a higher view than a turtle. The turtle knows where the cracks are in the ground. However, the giraffe might know where the good, or where they're headed. They can see a vision that nobody else has. It goes back to learn from the people that are above you and below you, or older than you and younger than you. You have to understand that people's views of the same situation are going to be different. And so we cannot lead and say, oh, we're going to get our money, right? So like the Amazon example that I gave, we have some revenue in, we are getting some money back, and this is how we're going to spend it. How about you ask the people that are coming to work longer than you, doing more of the harsher work, what they think they should do with the money? We cannot lead from our point of view. I might go to my family and tell them, hey, this is where I want the family to go from here. I think we need to read more and do this and do that. And then my kids might say, that's what you want to do. Those are your goals. How about you ask us about our goals? And so moving into this next year, I think organizations and individuals have to understand that you cannot lead just from your point of view. I cannot argue a giraffe's argument when they don't have the view of the turtle. Turtles can't, or giraffes can't argue the turtle's view, because they see things differently. So how do we move forward in leading from our point of view? And I think too many times organizations will just continue to go, again, this is how we've always done it, from my point of view, and we don't go back and say, can things be done better? Can things be done faster? Do we have to use this system? Can we find a different system to use? Whatever it is, because you're not willing to ask, because we're one leading from only our point of view. We don't evaluate our staff and understand this is where this is coming from, and we don't want to learn from them because they're either older or younger than us, and you don't know what the hell you're talking about because we're only leading from our point of view. So you see how all these are coming into play. And then lastly, number 7, not investing in your staff so they can build relationships. Oh, so that you can build relationships. So two different investments. There's the investment of the relationship, and then there's investment of the growth. I think there was a study that Gallup put out that said the C-suite people, right? Your VPs, your presidents, your vice presidents, your CEOs, your COOs, all those people, that 39% of them say that the organization cares for them and sends them or gives them a budget so that they can go to conferences, seminars, give them books, one-on-one trainings, and they get this higher level achievement of growth. That goes down by 10%. 29% says that the middle management gets that. 29%. So middle management says, yeah, my boss says that you can go to this seminar, you can go to this seminar. But what we find, got the hiccups. What we find is that the conferences that the C-suite people go to are like Hawaii or in another country or another state, and it's 4 or 5 days, and they get food and car and hotel. And then the managers, they go to a training like in their same city, or that's a 3.5 or 2.5 hour drive. And so take the company car, here you go, and it's local, whatever, cool. But then it goes down below 19%, 15% of staff say that their organization cares about them, that they go to trainings and to things that help them grow. But their trainings end up being, I'm pointing looking this way because this is where my monitor is, but their training is virtual, or it's in their organization and they'll bring somebody in so they can get training, but it's only 15%. So out of 100 people, only 15 staff are getting that training. Crazy. Out of your 8 or 10 C-suite people, a third of them, 3 of them, let's say, are getting their training, and that's a lot. But here's the problem: is that when people go to this training, hardly any of that information gets disseminated down the pipeline, and so the staff still get asked out of growth. So we're not investing in our staff. Put money into your staff. I heard this the other day from a podcast I did with Gregory Offner. It's on the wrap up episode. If you haven't saw that, it's the last episode that I just put out, the wrap up of 2023, and then it's also on his podcast at the end of ending season 1. Gregory Offner says a better person is a better accountant. A better accountant is not necessarily a better person, right? Going back to hiring, we can hire a really good principal, but it doesn't make them a very good person. But if I feed the person, if I develop the person, then I get a better principal. So we need to pour into our people and to the position. But when we have a better person, we get a better person in that position. Again, like he says, a better accountant is not necessarily a better person, but a better person becomes a better accountant, right? I can be great at what I do number wise, but I have 2 computers and I'm typing and I'm doing this. And people are like, I need help. And I'm like, screw you. I don't need, get out of here. I'm doing my work and I'm getting my job done, but I'm also an a-hole to people. But if I become a better person and you've poured into me and I feel accepted, loved, and appreciated at my job, when somebody comes to that door, I'm more apt to talk to them and listen to them because we've poured into the person. So a better person is the better accountant or fit the position, right? So investing in that. The next part is investing in your staff so you can build a relationship. Take time, get out from behind your desk and go speak and talk to your staff. Go talk with the people who are doing the grunt work of the organization. Listen to them, hear them out. I bet your organization will trip out. The people will trip out because, oh my gosh, the boss is on the floor. What are they doing here? Why are they sitting with me? Like, love on your staff. Invest your heart, your character, your leadership into the perfect timing. Someone came to the door and now the dog's barking, but into your staff. So we have the 7 deadly sins. I'll do a quick recap. Leading the same way you've always led, not wanting to learn from the people who are older or younger than you. 3, saying that's how we've always done it. 4, not having a regular evaluation, not only for staff or for the organization. 5, not planning out a growth plan for you and your staff or you and your family, right? Everything I do is both personal and professional development. Um, Only leading from your point of view or from your viewpoint, and then not investing in your staff so that the relationship can build. The 7 deadly sins of an organization. Hopefully, you've enjoyed this live podcast. Thank you for those who sent in comments and join me on both YouTube and on LinkedIn. Again, thank you again so much. This is a Relevant Development podcast. Remember to raise that bar so you can pull yourself up to that next level, but you can't do that unless you raise that bar. God bless. We'll see you on the next episode of the Relevant Development Podcast.